Merry Christmas, everybody. All you random rockers out there. And hopefully, Happy New Year, especially by the time you finally get a chance to see this, because it unfortunately will be the first thing you'll see in the new year. And yes, I'm not done talking about 2023 when I should have been weeks ago, but Christmas was the time of season and Christmas and the holidays in general just gets the best of us sometimes. And it always tends to do that for me, unfortunately, even if I plan to try to get ahead of it sooner on a month that usually tends to not have anything super great. Though there is one album that isn't bad, but I wish it was better than the hype was surrounding it. Anyway, um, let's not waste any time because I'm not gonna have much time with this camera phone anyway. And let's get to what I need to catch up on. What I have. Some I might start with. A couple other things I was a little unfortunately disappointed with when I recently, just not too long ago, found out that apparently Four in the Strange Band, Four as in Cole Williams, the fourth generational son of the Hank Williams lineage, released essentially a sophomore slump in Hain Dog. More so on from his own part on the vocals, but the Strange Band was doing fine, but they weren't exactly living up to the Strange and Strange Band the same way they were on Southern Circus, which I would rather recommend still to from last year or in this case in 2022, not last year by the time you hear this, but you get the point. And then you know what? There is one other one I'd like to talk about that I don't have on here that I'd like to get to, but I'll get to it when we get to a certain particular album that's on this list of albums I've missed. And those albums we're going to start with, and that starts with Autumn by Smashing Pumpkins. Technically, this is to make up for the fact I've already talked about Acts 1 and 2. I loved Act 1, the year near the end time frame when it had come out. In 2022. And as far as 2023 is concerned, it was a rough start with Act 2 a little bit, but Act 3, on the other hand, was more of what I was hoping for to follow up Act 4 and stuff like that. Act 1 and stuff like that. I'd say Act 1, Act 3, then Act 2. But given this whole thing's like 3 hours and like something, yeah, I don't. It's just sad that despite sounding being the best sounding to me they've been in years, and with the with Ion Chamberlain back, this is probably the point where I don't know what they can now do to make things still work past Corgan's own ambitions, because this record's just too long in the tooth for its own good. I wish it was better. But regardless, it's not bad per se, so. But it's not terribly bad, not like nearly as. I mean, I can't say for sure because I just couldn't stomach the idea of trying to, I guess. I don't know. All I know is I like this record, but it's not going to make it my honorable mentions or year-end list, unfortunately. Yeah, and that's a bummer because I liked the Pumpkins back in there, but it's pretty much 90s Pumpkins, the best Pumpkins still. But this was seeming like we were on the cusp of getting there, and sonically, I think we're getting there, if we haven't already at this point. But it's just bloated again. Him always over bloating his projects, Corgan. I don't know why. But moving on to Night Demon Outsider. Pretty good, just straight up heavy metal, more trad metal-y type band, and they're pretty good at this. I didn't get a chance to come back to it as much, and hell, a lot of these I didn't actually get to listen to as much on repeat listens. The some you'll know when I tell you, but this is what I do. Remember, this was really nice, and I might consider it at the very least honorable mentions. I don't know if I will high honors, but I can say honorable mentions for sure. sure. Give this album a shot if you haven't already. Moving on to, speaking of a band that kind of started to. This is apparently more a stoner doom, but they kind of go into the trad metal, possibly speed metal-y kind of thing. Greenland, This Heathen Land, and I think this is a great little, not a bad little start, you know. They don't go too, the music is still really good. They don't go too fuzzy, doomy, except for like in that Black Sabbath worship way, as some people say is a complaint about it, even though I can't complain if it's done well. And we'll get to some of that, some of exactly that later on. In fact, I've mentioned one of them with the album Born on the Men's Side by why am I forgetting the band name? But you know, you've seen my review. I have it. You know. But yeah, this is definitely one you don't want to sleep on, for sure. I feel I should put this in my honors. Daedalism by the Zenith Passage, I believe. Some of you may recognize the second song that's on this record. Essentially, the riffing has been utilized in a few for one of Chainsaw React's intros. I'm not even sure if he's aware of this band or not. Or if he's even watching after I decided to join the COC. Not to be confused with Corrosion of Conformity, but Creators of Content, or I think that's what it's called. But can't remember. But yeah, I liked this record. I haven't come back to it as much, but for what this is, it's pretty solid for being amongst the more genty genty side of progressive and technical death metal. But it works fine. It's pretty it's definitely solid. I at least give it honorable mentions, because I do remember actually somewhat liking and enjoying this. So, Sermon of Golden Verse. I decided through Thralls of Metal, when they did their best of list, or at least Nick did, is how I found out through that one. Jam and John kind of mentioned it on his as well. And it's essentially, if you basically like Tool, by way of other acts, Tool-esque acts, in the forms of Catatonia, Opeth, Soen, and ilk of that sort. Maybe a hint of Porcupine Tree, but more in the vein of something like that. I think you'll definitely like this, for sure. It's pretty good, pretty decent progressive metal, I guess, or at least that more progressive alt metal-y kind of a thing. But I wish I liked it more than I remembered. And now, speaking of an album that got a lot of hype, but I wish could have lived up to it, Don Heimsgard, or which is the DHEG stands for, Black Medium Current. Metal Meltdown gave this one of his 5 out of 5s. And apparently, according to his recent album of the year's list, he still doesn't regret that. But I wish I felt the same. Hell, I'm probably more with Metal Trenches on this one. It's just an underwhelming black metal release to me. I liked some of the sonic ideas and stuff, but hell, as a guitarist, whatever they did to end the first track was like, okay, I'm in. More of this, please. And they didn't do that. Granted, I get you don't want to be predictable, but there were other things that happened, like synths and Ys and all that stuff that kind of was there, that was... And you don't have a good start off with a great lead guitar tone like what they used on that first track, and never utilize it again. It's just you kind of just cut the balls out from under me on this thing. I just don't understand that. Which what I do understand, if you want a good progressive black metal, I mean, a band I've known for the past few years since doing this channel, and never got a chance to get around to it because I just wasn't feeling black metal for a while, and some of that's changed, and this is one of those reasons for why. Enslaved Heimdall. This is apparently album number 16, so yeah, it's a very heavy discography if you haven't had a chance to. And wow, apparently this is known to be a band that doesn't miss, and if they're 16 albums in and we got this great of a release, Jesus. I definitely need to attempt to try to check out their previous albums. Hell, there was one that was considered more toolish, which would have been my cup of tea for sure. But yeah, this thing did a lot more musically than what I got out of that Dot Heimsgard thing. That's for sure. Definitely making higher honorable mentions if it's not going to make my top 10. Ending by Kovrtek, a black and roll act. So apologies for my what you may hear going off, but I believe that's my heater going off. But anyways, this is fine record. I feel like their previous record, Split, I think it was called, winds up sounding better than what we got here. This seems more back to basics. So I love the album cover here, though. It is pretty nice. I do agree with Metal Philosophy on that one. But yeah, I wanted to like this more, but I just wasn't feeling it as much. It's not bad by any means, but I'm not sure it's going to make my honorable mentions. It could, but I just don't feel like it at this point. Well, Royal Blood, Back to the Water Below. Now, their debut was super solid, and then they had a sophomore slump issue that it seems to some people they just haven't climbed out of. But I entirely disagree about that because I love their last record, Typhoon. And that they went a different direction, and that different direction being comparable to what Queen Stone Age was doing on I don't know why I'm blanking on that record, but it was the previous record, not the one that just came out this year. And that record was great. Did the disco thing better than that? Oh, Villains. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Villains. It did better. That did better than Villains, and this seems like they kind of went more back to basics, but did try to still do something different and go almost have ballads that come off kind of Radiohead-ish in an OK Computer-ish kind of, or if not, in Rainbow's kind of way. Or at least that's what I got out of it, and I think like they handled it pretty well. I think it's one of their. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying it's their debut. I get that most people still think their debu's their best, but can't blame them for trying here. I mean, well, as long as they don't lose any steam from what they've been putting out between this album and the last record. Yeah, I think I mean Royal Blood's done enough to prove themselves for having been a blues rock duo like they were. I'm trying to remember the name of the album. I think the band is okay, maybe I'm forgetting the name of the band, but I do remember the album's Knockin' Area. Basically, think Black Midi and what's the other band that usually gets compared to them that I'm blanking on for some reason. But yeah, think of that stuff, and you'll like what you hear here. Pretty much, or at least especially what Black Midi's been putting out since the second record. This is no different from that. It's a nice, fine EP. And it may or may not make my that has the spoken word thing, and it may or may not make my honorable mentions. if not high honors. I don't see it making my top 10 proper. Though I'm considering this for God Smiles Upon the Callous Dowboys. Especially after their last record, which was just mwah. I do think the thing that will probably keep this from being in the top 10 is another EP of a similar ilk. Um, is probably going to make that. You all know how I've reviewed that particular EP, and y'all know how I feel about that. Even the Callous Dowboys couldn't beat that release there, but it's still pretty solid despite the final track being having a weird rap thing that I just wasn't feeling. But it's what it is. Speaking of another EP that, yeah, it's definitely make my honorable mentions, and I'm glad they did this in EP form, like they sort of did with Rotoscope. Fear, Spirit Box. One of the few bands where the hype is real, and I genuinely get it. I genuinely get it. With more so with this band, I'm glad they're getting traction in the stateside. I don't know why the people in their home country, certain metalheads in their home country, are being stupid about this. You kind of know who you are if you're seeing this, by the way. Ugh. Whatever. But I enjoyed I enjoyed this. It took maybe not as much first, but it did grow on me. At least not as instantaneously as Rotoscope, but but it stuck around, and it's definitely one of the better EPs that came out this year for sure. First time with Tyler Childers, Rustin' in the Rain. Except from the lead single, I just was not feeling this record, dude. Some people like this thing. I wish I could. I don't know what the deal was also with the production of this thing and the way it was mixed and some of the ideas that just came off. I just wasn't feeling this Tyler Childers record, unfortunately. And there was better country that came out that I'll be able to talk about here, That's definitely more worth your time, you know? Dying Wish, Symptoms of Survival. So 2000s metalcore in the best way possible. In the best way possible. And if you love that stuff, you're going to love this. Even though I do get some deathcore vibes a little bit too as well. But it's deathcore that's clearly influenced by that particular melodic metalcore, metal death infused metalcore branding of the 2000s. As opposed to like more straight up deathcore. But so such a good release. Such a good release. Also, speaking of metalcore again, Silosis, a sign of things to come. I'm with Nick Nocturnal. And I don't understand you, Metal Meltdown. This is just okay. This is just okay. Granted, my recent... I've kind of cooled off a little bit since my initial first couple releases of the week it had come out, but God, I wanted to talk about it then, and I was just hype as fuck for this thing. And because Silosis consists of Josh Middleton, which this was his big band until he came on to do filling in the original guitarist that passed away from cancer in Architects. He filled in around Holy Hell and was in the band up till the recent Architects record, and unfortunately, within the past couple Architects records, the rest of the band and Architects just mishandled Josh Middleton, and he decided to leave and went back and did this. And after hearing this thing, it's like, why the fuck didn't we get this from Architects? And then they finally do something in Seeing Red, and it's still nowhere near us. And despite it kind of them going heavier, it's nowhere near whatever this is, dude. And the riffs are just way more tastier. And I love the tone of this record. God, it's so juicy, so juicy. Just I kind of liked what I heard on this project when I heard the title track during one of the Rocks New Music Sundays, and That's part of why I got hyped when I found out about this thing. I was like, you know what, I need to check this out. And oh my god, I was like, the moment I heard Deadwood, I was like, starting this record, I was just like the way this thing, even the way that track ends, fuck. Oh, so good. Oh, so good. Now we're finally getting into some good country here. Charles Wesley Goodwin, Family Ties. I'm actually considering, and this is what I wish I got out of the Stapleton record, unfortunately, which is, I don't even know if it's going to make higher honorable mentions. But I don't agree with the mediocrity thing that Anthony Fantano had said in his of the Needle Drop had said. That's bullshit. And shit, but yeah, this thing is great. Even a good cover of Country Road, Take Me Home. And speaking of that good Feel Good Country by Sunday Best. I mean, the opening title track, which is more of a intro, is so-so, but I love this. This is definitely one that's up there for me too. I think it's gonna make high honorable mentions. I feel like because of the opening track being weird hip hoppy thing, I felt like it was dad's trying to be cool or something. And then they did actual genuine feel good country, neo traditionalist kind of a thing, lean on folk. From after that track, and it's just smooth sailing for the rest of the record. Just so good, so good. I thank Spectrum Pulse for giving me those recommendations in country, the good ones at least like that. Hell Mode, Jeff Rosenstock. I remember liking this record when I did hear it. It was some good pop punk, power pop kind of stuff. Or at least I liked this better than No Dream, which was I thought was solid. I'm told the ska version of that, Sky Dream, is better. Maybe. But yeah, I like this record a lot. Now, I have a hot take. I kind of like this. I think it's different for them in a better way for the most part. And of course, I'm also in the same hot take camp that thinks that the lesser than records of In Flames gets overhated a lot. Or at least I think Siren Charms gets hated too much. I get Battles more, but Arms and I the Mask are better than anybody gives them credit for in that regard. But I get like you're so used to the melodic death metal stuff, but yeah, someone. I mean, I do think we did get better from the frontman of this band vocally as a feature on the Skyboard of Stars from Catatonia, but with Imperience. But I do enjoy what this is, and I feel like this is a decent gateway to get into Someone, I guess. If you're willing to like hear the good elements of this, even if it is seemingly watered down, but I just don't feel like it is as much as everybody else. But, or at least I'm not as disappointed as everybody else with that record, but this one, on the other hand, having to follow up Death of Me, and given the circumstances leading into it where the guitarist had passed away by the time of this, I'm like, man, I mean the guitarist, oh that bad. Sorry. Yeah, he was good, but no. He was good, but it wasn't enough to save the rest of this record, and it just tonally I didn't like it nearly as much as the last record, or at least it just was missing this certain oomph to it, you know. Oh well, it is what it is. It's not going to make my top tier or anything, so. One that will, that it's very interesting. Empire State Bastard. Rivers of Heresy. This is basically two of the members of Biffy Clyro decided they wanted to go back to do heavy stuff. And for the sessions, they got Dave Lombardo to do drums on it. And holy crap, this is bonkers. Almost Mutoid Man levels of bonkers. I would say what this is to Biffy Clyro is essentially what Dream Metal and Probot is to Foo Fighters. Let's put it that way. That's just what we got of the Dream Metal record, but yeah. Something of that nature, but with like a Muto and Manny twist to it. Or if not, fortifying this. Ooh. But yeah, I really liked this record a lot. It'll probably make my high honors, for sure. Give it a shot. Now this, I'm actually considering in my top 10. Or at least if it's not that, it will be high honors for sure. Aviation's Luminaria. This is prog metal that fucks hard. In the juiciest, in the best way for pop, in the poppiest way possible. Oh, so good. So good. High recommend if you haven't listened to that already. The debut album from Rich Ripper, The Flight After the Fall, a heavy metal, a combo of trad and doom metal, kind of bordering into stoner metal, kind of in that way, in that vein of like another Macedon Baroness kind of a thing. But it's done really well, and I liked it. I did like it a lot when I heard it. It'll make honorable mentions, possibly high honors of the year. Testimony of Apocalypse, The Offering. This is their second record. Sophomore Slump, this is not, unless there was something really great about their debut from last year, apparently, from what I looked up. And I found out about, thanks to Metal Philosophy for finally showing me and telling me about a genuinely good, if not great Christian metal band. One of the more thrashy, groovier metal variety. Like, they go pretty hard. I wish that I had this. Yeah, I mean, if you're like kind of more Demon Hunter and want something heavier, but still kind of want a little bit of a worshipy kind of a thing, I guess lyrically, kind of sort of. Meet your new best friend. Meet your new best friend. Also, but if you want something of the good cheese and that progressive power metal sense, I would also like to recommend in terms of those bands that are also genuinely good, that have apparently been considered consistent, a la via what Glenn Fricker of Spectre Sound Studios has said, the only Christian metal band he actually genuinely likes. Theocracy and their album Mosaic is definitely also something to look into as well. Yes, just was really happy, and was happy to have some Catholic metalheads check that stuff out for sure. Suffocation, Hymns from the Apocryphy. Or Apocrypha. Anyway, I like it. It was decent like that. But, I like a little bit more experimentation than just noodling stuff, I guess. But for what it is, it's pretty damn solid. Honorable mentions, at least. I'll give it that. Spanish Lessons, No Joy. I was disappointed in this thing. Especially when you're having to follow up Bright Faces Everyone, was going to be a tough task. The fact that they even made another great album shows that they are a really good band. It's just, there's just something about this that just was not working and clicking as well as that. In fact, it just made me want to go back to Bright Faces Everyone, honestly. And that makes me sad to have to say that I'm not going to be able to put this album up there with it. Such a shame. The Incorrect, It All Began with Loneliness. Really good progressive metal. Really, 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 really good. I like it. Also one that definitely is more prog than I would say metal, but it's done pretty well. I might consider Aviations because it just has catchier stuff going on, but I do love that they allow every instrument involved in this to breathe, from saxophone to keyboards to guitars to drums, all that stuff. And I really like it for that. Uh, Psychic Dance Routine by Scowl. Not a bad EP. It's decent punky stuff. But anyway, but it's a decent EP. I don't feel like coming back to it as much as, say, this Post Prophet album, Self Defeater. Another 7 kind of reminds me of another band, Fire of the Gods, a little bit. But I think I might like this actually a little bit better. And for a debut, this is definitely something you need to want to put on your radar for sure. Air, Not Meant for Us by Fires in the Distance. I'm actually thinking of recommending the instrumental version of this record to them, since he doesn't like death growls, but he likes distorted stuff like this. So, yeah, good melodic death doom, or at least one that really does know how to bring the best aspects of doom and the best aspects of melodic death metal together in the best way possible. God Thrime. God. Or is it God Thrime? Or God Thrime? Either way, their album Distortions, their sophomore effort, oh my god. Oh. It may be last minute, but I don't care. I'm actually considering this, because this is like some crowbar levels of riffage on this thing. And this is epic doom and not even sludge. Oh, and it's so tasty. So tasty. Even and the added female vocals that add that sort of baronessy kind of a thing. It's chef's kiss. Oh, this thing's juicy. And even the opening riffs to start this thing off, it's just so damn tasty. Following Track Devils is just awesome. Really stands out a lot too. Just everything that goes on, especially the decision to try to do bring in female vocals and stuff, was also really good as well. Just I love this thing. Death Clock Death Album 4. I like this a lot. And this is the last thing we'll probably get from Death Clock at this point, and not a bad way to end things. But I understand why there are people who enjoy the first two a little bit more, I guess. But there's some really cool tracks on Death Album 3. So, but overall, I enjoyed the heck out of this thing. It was so good. Strojan Finitude. I really like this progressive melodic death metal. Oh, dude. Oh, progressive mellow death and black metal. Kind of, sort of, or progressively blackened progressive mellow death, I guess. Either way, high honorable mentions. Another high honorable mentions. Wayfarer, American Gothic. If you want to know the black metal, what Black Parade is for Native American stuff, this is more the Western equivalent of that. In fact, kind of like a Spirit World Death Western kind of a thing, but it's black metal instead of death metal, or death and hardcore, I guess. But yeah, and this next one, I don't think I can show the album cover that much, but it's the new Autopsy, Ashes, Organ, and Blood and Crypts. It's solid, I guess. I like the Static Abyss record better, but it is what it is. And forget the album title, but yeah, this, for something that's sounding a little more on the grindcore side, I'm surprised I liked this as much as I did. Hell, they even kind of bordered into some industrial here and there, but for the most part, I just was not feeling the smell of the dirts and all that stuff. So, anyway, that's pretty damn solid. 3D Country by Geese, it's fine. I'm with Spectrum Pulse. It's a little overhyped, I guess. I heard about this through Metal Meltdown and went for it, and it was fine. I've been jamming to this so much. Gabe Lee, the Drink the River. Holy crap! This is what good country's supposed to be right here. If not Charles Wesley Goodwin, this right here. Holy shit! This is great. Ah, so good. Holding absence, the noble art of self-destruction. The Angel and the Marble alone, hell, they got screwed in the Nick Nocturnal Awards, but the Angel and because Angel and the Marble was one of the better sad songs they were going for in that nominations. But yeah, this for being my first exposure to this band, this was some good post-hardcore, that post-hardcore pop screamo-y kind of a thing in the best way of the 2000s possible. Rearing its head into this, it's so good, so good. Turnpike Troubadour's Cat in the Rain, just another good country record. Come Back So Long Goodbye, better than I expected. Not a terrible send-off to the project itself, but they genuinely done better in the 90s here and there, but it's okay. I mean, for what they're doing in a more blues rocky vein, it's not bad, or at least it's a little better than the more pop rock record they had released a couple albums prior. Horticulture Descent, and also the Forgotten EP, also really good as well. I wanted to like this more though than I remembered because I liked Niha, but I just, for some reason, sonically there was just something about it being overproduced a little bit too much, and I do think they need to wind down and let the instrumentation breathe a little more, so that when that production pops out as much as it does, it'll actually work. But that's just me, I guess. Hype is sort of real on this one, but I prefer the new tune mode, honestly, from a production standpoint. And I feel like this needed that production to really, really go the distance. Austerical Mysterium from Horrendous, really, really good stuff. I get why it's on most people's list, but it's, yeah. Greenworm, Seen Through Fire. Woo-wee. More punk and hardcore than I would say more metally, but it's not bad for what it is. I was kind of hyped from Metal Trenches, and I didn't think it lived up to the hype as much, but it was still pretty solid. Spirit of Drift, Ghost at the Gallows. Now that's another great heavy metal project. This is probably one of their best. In fact, I get some Alice in Chainsy vibes here and there, outside of their usual traditional metal with a hint of doom. Blackened melodic death metal, one that takes more cues from melodic death metal than black metal's usual lo-fi stuff. Yeah. This is definitely good. Sadist the Smoky Community. Now this is Sabbath. This is great Sabbath worship right here, for sure. Good sludginess, but also has some did some experimentation with some horn section-y stuff on the opening track. Didn't focus as much after that, but yeah. I'm Super Bloom. I'm not sure why I'm blanking on the band name, but regardless, it's fine. Fine gent, nothing reinventing the wheel, but it's still good. It's solid. I get if it's not great or anything to some people, but here we go with that. Keen Abyss, Snake Oil. Such good. This is another good thrash record that you gotta check out if you want to know what good thrash is. Besides, that's Metallica hasn't put out. This is Armageddon. Dystopian Dreams is decent. I would say I like the Sadist. I probably like the Sadist record more, despite it being more Sabbath worship, and this just being hardcore. That's really sludgy and stonery in its own right. This is not bad. The new Judiciary album. I was recommended this from to check this. I think it's Blood and something. I can't remember, but all I do remember it was Jader Paramo that recommended me this from his boss, and they were apparently good live. Yeah, Yeah, it's not bad, but I heard better thrash. I showed you that with the snake oil from Keen Abyss, and as well as freaking new Enforced. Yeah, Yellowcore made a comeback here with Childhood Eyes, an EP that's kind of being overlooked. I think it's really good. I feel like they need some not. It's yeah, surprisingly really good. I liked a lot of what was on here, and I can't wait for them to make a full length. That's for sure. And eventually deep dive into their earlier discography. Vexed, Negative Energy. They're kind of sort of a progressive new metal, that progressive metalcore that's supposedly more leaning towards new metalcore. Um, yeah, it's okay. I wished it was better, but it's not making my top list, unfortunately, guys. I'm sorry. And that leaves us, yeah, with I mean, we still got more. Drain, Living Proof. This is some good hardcore shit. This is some good hardcore shit. There's a couple little issues here and there, but yeah, I totally understand why some people want to put it on their top tier list for sure. And it's probably gonna make my honorable mentions for sure, no question. What's gonna make my honorable mentions? The Wretched, the Ruinous from Unearth. My God, this is some good 2000s metalcore band stuff for sure. From an old band favorite. Currents, The Death We Seek. I liked previous Current stuff, and I was surprised how much I liked this record than most at least at the time. I don't know if it's grown on me since, but or if I had time to be fair, but yeah, it's pretty solid. I can't complain. Ugh. But this is great though. Oh my God. Oh, August Burns Red's Death Below. Ah, dude. Dude. So good. Ah, so good. I can't just I'm considering it in my top 10, but it probably make my honorable mentions. We'll see. Lunar Chamber, Gembaholic. I think there's like decent progressive black metal, I guess, or post metal-y, I guess. I can't remember. It's been a while since I listened to it. I mean, I guess that says something. I probably would have liked this more, but I don't know. It's okay. And I enjoyed it, but you know what? That's it, I guess. That's all the albums, most of the albums at least, that I have mentioned that I have caught up with that I was able to check that I've been listening to over the past few months that I never got a chance to review, and now you know my thoughts on them, and now I can kind of prepare for what's going to go in the honorable mentions, what's going to go in the high honorable mentions, and I think I may decide to do a top 10 video. Or I may just do a, yeah, I'm, that or I'll do a post thing like I'm going to do with the honorable or high honorable mentions, and then after that, I'm going to marathon the fuck out of Green Day for the most part. If I don't do anything past American Idiot, I'll be fine. I may just skip and go to Revolution Radio. I don't know what's going to happen. And then go into Saviors and like ignore the other crap. So we shall see. But what did you guys think of any of these albums I've talked about that are on this list? Any of these massive amounts of records? Leave a comment below. Let me know. And as always, guys, keep it random. Keep it real. Keep it rocking. I'll see you all in the next video. Whatever, whenever, and whatever that may be. Take care, y'all. See you in the next year of 2024. Hopefully, I can get through whatever's left of 2023 and, try to look forward to 2024 as best as possible. But we shall see. We shall see. Until then, take care, y'all.